Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Table Talk. I'm your host, Jake Combs, and tonight we are going to be looking at the Skaven Hell Pit Abomination and the latest issue of White Dwarf. So, the latest issue of White Dwarf, we literally actually received it this morning, and it's been one of the first issues in a while where there hasn't been any sort of teaser on the Warhammer community page. So there's nothing in here that I have any idea about. Now, first off, I love the artwork on the subscription cover. Just absolutely fantastic. I love the models themselves too, for the Mega Gargants. So definitely hoping to have one of my own one day. Problem is there's so many variations of the build that's very hard not to want them all, really. But as far as they go, I think I'm probably going to end up going with the black hooded one if I ever do get one and get to build it. Now, go ahead and open this up. All right, so as usual, the letters to the editor section, or fan letters and photos of what they've done. And like on one hand, I love seeing all the different things that people are coming up with, but on the other hand, especially when I was a newer painter, this section alone was one of the most discouraging because I'd see what other people in the community were doing with their painting and saw how much more inferior mine was in comparison. But that's never really a good way to actually to do this. You should not be comparing yourself every step of the way. Because all you're going to do is you're going to get yourself discouraged and not want to do it. And so for me, what I started doing instead was when I see something I like, I'll ask whoever did the work, how they did a specific part of it. So that way, one, I get to compliment them and look at their awesome paint job or their customizations, and then also a lot of the times they will respond and tell you how they did that certain technique, so you can actually make yourself better by doing that. But at the same time, though, it is very hard not to get discouraged by looking at those other people's hobby, as it were. But as far as the issue goes, we go to the Worlds of Warhammer section. This one specifically going over god beasts. So I'm suspecting that that's going to be, the giant monsters like the Chimera or something, probably even something bigger. Like I see in here, Nagendra the Great Serpent. And actually, so far, that's the only one. The World Titan Behemoth. And then we go into Flashpoint Caradon Warzone for 40k. So this specific Flashpoint is more focused on the Death Guard. And then we go into a related short story by Callum Davis called Canal of the Damned, and only being really about 3 pages in length, definitely won't take too much time to read. And then we have a related campaign for the Flashpoint as well. And then we go into the army gallery. it's called. It's a Death Watch army that someone has done. And then going into some details about what he has, and specifically some of the stuff he's done during his lockdown this year. Then we go into the Index Astartes, specifically the Emperor's Spears. And specifically new rules for them as well. And then we go into Paint Splatter, which is specifically how to paint that Space Marine faction. And then we have another army gallery, this one specifically for the Emperor's Spears. And then we have a battle report, it looks like, called a Tale of Four Warlords. Basically, when we've seen these in the past, I think the most recent one that I remember seeing last was a Warcry based one. It's basically 4 players, 4 armies, basically kind of a winner takes all type battle. And so with this, we got Space Marines, Sisters of Battle, Necrons, and Orcs. Space Marines and Sisters of Battle, thematically would work together to stop the others, but the others likely would not, work together. And so specifically going into paint schemes for each of the individual armies. And actually, I was wrong. It actually was not a battle report. This was actually just a focus on 4 different armies, including some painting, some of the custom bases and models that they've done. Then we go into the rules of engagement. This one focusing on the Sons of Behemat. I'm probably butchering that. But definitely some really cool stuff there. And then we go to some designer notes related to it. And one of the highlights is the Kraken Eater Mega Gargant, which probably out of the default builds is my least favorite appearance wise. Then we have the War Stomper, the Gatebreaker, which the Gatebreaker personally is my favorite. And then going into some of the paint schemes that they did, and then some custom variations of the different Gargants. And then we go into another paint splatter section specifically for them as well. And then we go into a Age of Sigmar battle report. This one actually is listed as a battle report, and it looks like it's Ogre Mod Tribes versus the Sons of Behemat. So a lot of giants on that table. So definitely looks like it'd be a really cool fight, especially when you're looking at the sheer numbers. The Ogres are more overwhelming in number, so definitely interested to see who actually wins in the end. And then we go into a Brawl for All Seasons, which is a looks like a short story centered around the Sons of Behemat, and written by Nick Horth. And it looks like this is all contained within this book. And then we have an exclusive mini game called the Mega Brawl, and it looks like it's basically a 1v1 Mega Gargant battle. or at least in the image that they use, it's 4 of them against each other. And then with some special charts for damage and things like that. Then we go into dire chasm glory points. So no longer Beast Grave listed there. And so this section is focused on discussing the development, rules, tactics, gameplay, and is centered around Dire Chasm's box set exclusively, at least this time. Then we have a decade in review for Blood Bowl. Looks like it's more kind of like an interview with the hosts of the Blood Bowl games, Jim and Bob specifically. Then for Adeptus Titanicus, we have the Tactica section, and specifically about getting the most out of your Titan maniples. And then we have a Black Library interview, specifically with David Geimer. Looks like he's got a new book coming out soon called Champion of the Gods. It looks like he also did a couple of the Beast Arises books. And then we have a story called Mother of Fire, Chronicles of the Wanderer. And so this is actually a 6-part story, and the first part is featured in this issue. And then we have the Outside the Studio, which I'm assuming is implying that since most people are working from home these days, that's probably where they're doing this work, where before some of the people were working on their models in the offices. And then next month's issue is going to have the Charnel Kingdom, which looks like some Space Wolves stuff going on. So something to look forward to. All right, now open up the Hell Pit Abomination. Now, personally, I've never seen one of these built, other than just like the completed pictures that they have in the Skaven Battle Tome, or the most recent Warcry Grand Alliance book for Chaos, which featured it in there, meaning we can use it with our Chaos armies in Warcry now. And looking at it, looking at the main body parts, it is kind of a bloated monster. I'm looking at it, see a lot of stitching. Very much reminds me of the Great Unclean One. And then looking at these pieces, doesn't look like there's a lot here that can be used in terms of customization, but a lot of really well detailed pieces. I mean, like looking at this arm right here, that looks like it's something straight out of Necron armies, and definitely kind of seems out of place in Age of Sigmar. And it does come with 2 bases. You got the oval base and the rectangle base, depending on which way you want to play it. But overall, it looks like it's meant to appear more like a kind of a Skaven-made Chaos Abomination, where instead of being completely brought to life by chaos. It's the mad science of their warp block engineers, I'm assuming. But a very cool looking model. Really looking forward to doing this. And since it is going to be something that can be used in a Warcry, as soon as I actually finish painting all of my Blackstone Fortress pieces, which I'm actually nearing the end on that, working on all of the enemy models now. Then once those are done, I'll be moving on to doing everything for all my recent Warcry items that we've received. We have basically every warband that's come out in a self-contained box, except for the Stormcast Eternals. But definitely hoping to get a hold of that one still, mostly because I prefer the actual printed cards instead of actually taking a photocopy out of the Grand Alliance books. But definitely looking forward to putting this guy together with the rest of them, since it can be used in Warcry. I have a lot of stuff to get started with when I start doing that. I mean, we have the Cypher Lords, the Unmade, Corvus Cabal, and so those will finish up the original 6 that we didn't already have. We've already got the Spire Tyrants done. Then we have the Scions of Flame, the Knight. I can't remember what the rest of their name is, but basically the kind of shadow elves that came in the most recent box set. So, Warcry Catacombs specifically. And so a lot of stuff to look forward to. I mean, we've got, the Night Haunt. We've literally every box that's come out, we have one of, except for the Stormcast Eternals that's been pre-made. And so definitely a lot to look forward to. I know that this next year is going to be crazy with Warcry related painting stuff. And I know that I actually have a ton of Khorne-based models that I'm going to be building an army with, or a warband as well. Same with Stormcast Eternal models that I have that I've never gotten around to build. Now it's going to be the perfect time to actually get started with most of those. So definitely looking forward to that. Next week we should resume some of our painting. Got the whole recipe ready for those Aeronautica Imperialis bases, and then once we get done with those, then we'll actually start doing the assembly of some of the more recent ships we've picked up as well. But so that's all. That's it for tonight. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you all next week. And don't forget, be safe out there. Wear a mask. Something simple that could actually help save someone's life, if not your own. Good night.